Welcome to the Deep Dive, everybody. We're all about making those first impressions count today, and we're diving deep into Camille Lavington's book. You've only got 3 seconds to do it. The excerpts you provided are really fascinating and make it pretty clear you're focused on improving your impact.
Well, you've definitely come to the right place because this book is all about maximizing your impact. Lavington's main point really resonated with me. Within just 3 seconds, people have already formed judgments about you, and those snap decisions can have a huge ripple effect. Think job interviews, client meetings, even just meeting someone new at a party. And here's the kicker. It's not something that only happens to some of us. It's a universal phenomenon.
Wow, 3 seconds? You barely have time to say hello. I can definitely see why that would raise the stakes.
Yeah.
She actually calls this executive enhancement, doesn't she? What exactly does that entail?
It's about recognizing and then working on those personal blind spots. The things we might not realize are actually hindering how effectively we connect with others. Could be habits, could be personality quirks, even something as simple as body language. The real key here is self-awareness. You can't fix what you don't know is broken, Raiders.
It sounds like a journey of self-discovery, but with a practical purpose, which I like. Did she give any specific examples of these blind spots, or how to figure out what yours are?
Oh, she does. Lavington actually includes a lot of insightful tools and assessments in the book to help with that. One example of the Tropical Islands test or the Quick List test. It's pretty amazing what they can reveal about your values and even how you judge others, even subconsciously.
I love how those simple exercises can unlock some pretty deep insights about ourselves. I feel like this could actually get addictive, trying to uncover all these subconscious things about myself. Does she have any other interesting tests in the book?
Absolutely. There's the windfall test. Imagine winning the lottery. Now, ask yourself, would you still keep doing what you're doing? It's a fascinating way to uncover what truly motivates you and see if your current choices really align with your deepest values.
That's a brilliant exercise. I love that. It really makes you think, right? Now, I know Lavington really emphasizes the importance of self-confidence in the book.
Oh, definitely. She considers it one of the 3 essential qualities for success. And to really gauge our level of self-assurance, she introduces this truth or dare test,
Right.
kind of pushing us to face those aspects of ourselves that we tend to avoid. Because, true enhancement starts with really understanding our strengths and weaknesses, or as she calls it, radical self-awareness.
So once you've done all this in-depth self-analysis, where do you go from there?
Well, that's where her concept of personality DNA comes in. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, it's intriguing. I'm ready.
She basically categorizes individuals into 4 primary types: thinker, feeler, intuitor, and sensor. And understanding these types, both our own and those of the people we interact with, can seriously up our communication game.
It's like learning to speak a whole new language, the language of personality types. How does that actually translate into practical communication?
Well, Lavington's point is that we need to tailor our communication style based on the personality type we're interacting with. So, for example, if you're dealing with a sensor, she suggests being super concise and practical. But if it's an intuitor you're talking to, appeal to their imagination, paint a picture of the bigger vision.
It makes sense. You have to speak their language. It reminds me a lot of that concept of emotional intelligence, being aware of others' emotions and adapting your communication accordingly. It sounds like this really aligns with your goal of overcoming communication barriers and making those deeper connections. What about the bigger picture? Does Lavington talk about social dynamics?
Oh, definitely. That's actually one of my favorite parts of the book. She's pretty upfront about social hierarchies. In fact, she describes 6 distinct levels with their own characteristics and behaviors, from attitudes and values all the way down to their spending habits.
It sounds like a pretty comprehensive view of social structures. Does she connect that back to individual interactions?
Absolutely. She introduces this idea of power profiles, which she uses to categorize individuals based on status, confidence, and their kind of professional orientation. It's almost like mapping out where we all fit in the pecking order, which I found really insightful.
It's almost like having a cheat sheet to decode social interactions. I love that. Now, I was really intrigued by her mention of the maturity spiral. What does she mean by that exactly?
Well, the idea is that as we grow and evolve socially and professionally, we kind of navigate through these various stages of conformity and rebellion. It's about understanding where we are on that journey and how our past experiences influence our behavior today. We're always evolving within these social structures.
It's a good reminder that we're all on our own path, constantly growing and changing. Speaking of growth and change, Lavington dedicates a lot of space to what she calls packaging and presentation, or staging a performance. What exactly does she mean by that?
This is where she gets into the nitty-gritty of crafting a powerful image. So think about things like appearance, attire, grooming, even your office decor. All of that visual presentation plays a big part in shaping those crucial 3 seconds.
So it's not just about what you say, but how you present yourself, right?
Mhm.
Did she give any concrete tips?
Oh, absolutely. She's got tons of practical advice on how to achieve that polished and impactful image. She even includes a checklist of impression makers, everything from your handshake to the kind of pen you use, things we might not even think about, but that can really make a difference.
It's amazing how those small details can really add up, isn't it? Now, does she get into the nuances of social etiquette, how to behave in different settings?
Definitely. She stresses the importance of charisma and engaging conversations, but in a way that's mindful of social graces. She even has this list of taboo topics, conversation killers, things you should definitely avoid.
That's really helpful, especially for those who might feel a bit awkward navigating social situations. Does she suggest any alternatives? Like, how do you keep a conversation flowing smoothly without accidentally bringing up a taboo topic?
She does. Lavington suggests ways to gather information and keep things engaging, but in a non-intrusive way. And believe it or not, she even delves into table manners, particularly the continental style because it's so prevalent in business settings. Apparently, even how you eat can signal your social standing.
I can see how mastering those subtle cues could be beneficial, especially in a professional context. Does she touch on any other areas of etiquette?
She does. She actually provides a pretty comprehensive guide to international protocol, outlining customs and expectations from different cultures, like what to do, what not to do, how to greet people. It's almost like having a global etiquette toolkit to help you avoid any accidental faux pas.
That's incredibly valuable in our globalized world, for sure. Now, I noticed Lavington dedicates a whole chapter to self-promotion, specifically marketing yourself to the company. What kind of strategies does she offer in that section?
This is where she gets practical about resumes, job interviews, and really navigating the corporate world. She's got some invaluable advice on crafting a resume that stands out from the crowd and effectively showcasing your achievements.
So ditch the boring cookie-cutter resume format and create something that pops, right? Does she have any specific examples?
Oh yeah, she gives this great example of a resume makeover, showing how to transform a dull resume into something dynamic that really highlights your skills and experience. She also emphasizes the importance of researching the person interviewing you beforehand.
Like doing your due diligence. Why is that so important to her?
Well, her thinking is that understanding their background, career path, even their hobbies can give you insight into their values. And that allows you to tailor your approach, showing a genuine interest and establishing a connection.
That's smart. It makes perfect sense. And of course, Lavington provides tons of tips on how to ace the interview itself, from projecting confidence to handling those tough questions. But does she mention anything unexpected about the hiring process? Anything people might not be aware of?
She does. She reveals some of the less conventional practices some companies are using, like handwriting analysis. Some use it to evaluate personality traits, which just shows you we're constantly being evaluated on multiple levels, often without even realizing it.
That's a little creepy, but good to know. Now, she also stresses the importance of knowing your worth and negotiating a fair salary and benefits package. Once you're in the company, does Lavington offer advice on presenting yourself effectively within that corporate environment?
Definitely. She has a whole chapter dedicated to it, presenting yourself inside the company. She emphasizes office decor, building relationships with support staff, and mastering the art of meetings, all of which contribute to how you're perceived.
It sounds like she's saying that our workspace can actually make or break our image. What specific recommendations does she make?
She really advocates for a clutter-free, organized space, suggesting it projects a sense of control and efficiency. And she's a big proponent of treating support staff respectfully.
It's true, those relationships can be crucial. Why does she emphasize that so much?
Well, she makes the point that administrative assistants, for example, often wield quite a bit of influence and can really impact your success, for better or worse. Building rapport with them can be a strategic advantage.
Makes sense. It's all about building those positive relationships at every level. What about meetings? Does she give tips on how to navigate those successfully?
Oh, for sure. She provides strategies for participating actively and even leading meetings with confidence. She even tells this funny story about how she prepped a group of senior execs for a high-stakes meeting by using Tiffany's table manners for teenagers.
That's hilarious and kind of brilliant. I love how she finds humor in the unexpected. It shows that even in seemingly informal settings, etiquette still matters. Does she talk about public speaking as well?
Definitely. She dedicates a whole section to public speaking, which, let's face it, is a critical skill in the corporate world. She emphasizes thorough preparation, calming your nerves, commanding the room, and engaging your audience. She's got practical tips for everything from body language and voice modulation to using visual aids effectively.
It's like a mini masterclass in public speaking. I can see how that could really boost anyone's professional presence. Now, does she cover the art of negotiation as well?
Absolutely. She has a whole chapter titled Negotiate So Everyone Wins. It's about advocating for yourself while still considering the other person's needs. Preparation is key, knowing your bottom line and framing your arguments so that everyone benefits.
It's about finding those win-win scenarios. Does she give any tactical advice for those really tense negotiation situations?
She provides strategies for dealing with difficult conversations and even ultimatums. She shares a personal anecdote about how she successfully negotiated a raise using a clever tactic. It just goes to show that sometimes thinking outside the box can really pay off.
It's inspiring to see how she puts her own principles into practice. Now, one of the things I found most fascinating about Lavington's book is how she pulls back the curtain on the corporate world. She doesn't shy away from those unspoken dynamics and power plays that are often at work. What does she say about that darker side of office politics?
Well, this is where Lavington gets real. She exposes those less glamorous aspects of corporate life, the dirty tricks, the underhanded strategies. She doesn't sugarcoat it. She gives you a glimpse into those behind-the-scenes activities that can literally make or break careers.
Sounds like a crash course in corporate survival. Does she offer any advice for navigating those treacherous waters?
She definitely cautions against being, as she puts it, a well-intended innocent. Basically, people who are unaware of or choose to ignore the reality of office politics are the most vulnerable. It's not about becoming a master manipulator yourself, but about understanding the game so you can protect yourself.
So awareness is key, even if you choose not to play the game yourself. What kind of dirty tricks does she actually expose in the book?
Oh, there's a whole range. Planting blind ads to create a sense of competition, hiring henchmen to disrupt things and then letting them go, even firing successful employees just to protect someone's ego or position. It's almost like a playbook of workplace sabotage.
Wow, that's a bit disheartening. But I guess forewarned is forearmed. Does she offer any strategies for protecting yourself from these kinds of maneuvers?
She does. She talks about building a strong network, maintaining situational awareness, and knowing when to walk away from a toxic environment. Documentation is crucial, as is advocating for yourself and being willing to challenge authority figures when necessary.
So it's about being savvy and strategic and ultimately prioritizing your own well-being. Now, Lavington also talks about what she calls an eagle's profile. What are the characteristics of those who truly thrive, professionally and personally?
In that section, she outlines the qualities and behaviors that set these high achievers apart. One key element is a strong sense of purpose that extends beyond just personal ambition.
So it's about making a meaningful contribution to the world, both in your work and in your life. Does she mention any specific ways to cultivate this mindset?
Well, Lavington is a big advocate for volunteerism and community involvement, engaging in things that benefit others while also enriching your own life. Philanthropy is another key area, using your resources and influence to support causes you believe in.
It's about recognizing that success isn't just about climbing the ladder. It's about making a positive impact. Does she talk about the role of networking and building social capital in all of this?
Oh, absolutely. She even delves into the world of private clubs. She acknowledges their exclusivity, but also offers insights into how to navigate those circles. She sees them as potential platforms for connecting with people who share your passions and can help amplify your impact.
It's about strategically accessing those influential networks, right? Does she have any practical advice for getting your foot in the door and making a good impression?
Oh yeah, she offers specific tips on securing invitations, making a memorable first impression, and building genuine relationships. She emphasizes that authenticity and genuine engagement are crucial, even in those elite circles.
It's about finding common ground and building real connections. Now, with all this talk about strategy and social dynamics, does Lavington provide any real-world examples of how her principles have been applied successfully?
She does. She includes a series of case studies that illustrate how people have actually implemented her ideas to achieve some pretty remarkable career advancements and personal fulfillment.
It's always inspiring to see those real-world applications. But does she acknowledge the challenges, the setbacks people might face along the way?
Oh, absolutely. Lavington definitely addresses those potential obstacles and offers guidance on overcoming hurdles and staying on track. She emphasizes that the path to success is rarely straightforward. It's about perseverance, resilience, and being willing to adapt.
It's a good reminder that success is a journey, and it's not always going to be easy. Now, before we wrap up this section, I'd love to hear about Lavington's concluding message. What are the key takeaways she leaves us with?
Well, throughout the book, Lavington really emphasizes the importance of integrity and authenticity, of making a positive contribution to the world. She argues that true success isn't just about achieving your own goals, it's about aligning those goals with your values and using your success to serve a greater good.
That's a really powerful message and one that resonates deeply. It's not just about climbing the ladder, it's about the impact you make along the way.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between ambition and purpose, achieving personal fulfillment while also making a positive difference.
That's a really inspiring note to end on. Now let's dive into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of those strategies and tactics in more detail.
Let's unpack those behind-the-scenes activities Lavington reveals, the ones that can make office politics feel like a minefield. They're often subtle, kind of insidious, so it's hard to even spot them until you're already caught up in them.
It's like a real-life corporate thriller playing out right under our noses. What are some of those, underhanded tactics that we should be on the lookout for?
Lavington covers a whole bunch. Things like planting those blind ads to create a sense of competition even when there isn't one. Just to make people feel insecure about their jobs. Or hiring, she calls them henchmen, basically people brought in specifically to shake things up, and then often they're just let go later.
That sounds brutal. It's like a Machiavellian approach to climbing the corporate ladder. Are there any other examples she gives? Things that are, well, ethically questionable?
Oh, she talks about something called firing the hero, where a high-performing employee is actually dismissed, usually to protect a superior's ego or position. The idea is that competence can be intimidating, especially to someone who feels insecure in their own role.
It's a reminder that even success doesn't always guarantee security, especially in a cutthroat environment. So, knowing that these threats exist, what advice does Lavington give to help us navigate this treacherous terrain?
She really emphasizes building a strong network of allies within your organization, people you can trust, people who can offer support and give you an inside perspective. Also, maintaining that situational awareness so you can anticipate potential threats and react accordingly. And she also stresses recognizing when to walk away, when a situation is just too toxic.
Knowing your worth and not getting sucked into an environment that undermines your well-being or your values.
Yeah.
Right. That's so important. Are there any proactive steps you can take to protect yourself, aside from just being aware?
Absolutely. Lavington's a big believer in meticulous documentation. Make sure you have a record of your contributions and achievements. That way, if you ever need to challenge an unfair accusation or defend your reputation, you've got the evidence. She also encourages being assertive, advocating for yourself, making sure your voice is heard. And finally, she says don't be afraid to challenge authority figures when it's necessary, of course respectfully, but firmly addressing any unethical or unjust behavior.
It's about being empowered, knowing your rights, and refusing to be silenced or marginalized. I love that. Well, Lavington doesn't sugarcoat the negative aspects of corporate life. She also highlights those positive qualities that characterize people who truly excel. She calls them eagles, I believe. What sets them apart?
One of the things she talks about is that they have this really strong sense of purpose, one that goes beyond just personal ambition. They're driven by this desire to make a real contribution to the world, both inside and outside of work.
So their actions are aligned with a greater good, finding fulfillment not just in what they achieve, but how they contribute, right? Does Lavington give any specific examples of what that might look like in practice?
Well, she's a huge proponent of volunteering and getting involved in your community, doing things that benefit others. Philanthropy is another area she highlights, leveraging your resources and influence to support causes that are important to you.
Using success as a springboard for positive change. I like that a lot. Does she touch on the role of networking and social capital in all of this?
Oh, yeah. She even delves into those exclusive private clubs. She acknowledges that they can be tough to get into, but she also sees them as potential platforms for meeting like-minded people, connecting with individuals who share your passions, people who can help you make a bigger impact.
So strategically using those social structures to further your goals and expand your influence. Does she offer any practical tips on how to gain access and once you're in, how to make the most of those connections.
She provides tips on getting invited, on making a good first impression, on building those genuine relationships. And she stresses that authenticity is key. Even in these elite circles, it's about connecting with people on a real level, not just putting on a show.
It's about finding that common ground, even when there are those social barriers. Now, with all this talk of strategy and social dynamics, does Lavington provide any real-world examples of how her principles have been put into practice successfully?
Oh, yeah. She actually includes several case studies showing how people from all walks of life have used her principles to achieve remarkable success. And I'm not just talking about climbing the corporate ladder. I mean, like, crafting fulfilling and impactful lives.
That's really encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
But does she acknowledge that there will be bumps along the way, setbacks, challenges?
Of course. She recognizes that things aren't always going to be smooth sailing. Lavington offers tips on dealing with those challenges, emphasizing the importance of resilience, adapting to change, and learning from your mistakes. She reminds us that the path to success is rarely a straight line. There are going to be detours and course corrections along the way.
A healthy dose of realism. I appreciate that. It's a reminder that setbacks aren't failures. They're just opportunities for growth. Well, let's move on to the final section of our deep dive now, where we're going to break all of this down and really focus on those key takeaways you can start applying today. Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground with Camille Lavington's You've Only Got 3 Seconds. First impressions, social dynamics, the whole corporate chess game.
We've broken down those crucial 3 seconds, looked at the not-so-nice side of office politics, and learned how to project that image of confidence and competence.
And we've also talked about aligning actions with values, making a difference, and building those authentic connections that go beyond just, climbing the social ladder. So let's try to distill all of this down to 10 key takeaways, things people can actually use in their daily lives.
I think that's a great idea. A 10-point summary to crystallize Lavington's wisdom, so to speak. Let's do it.
All right. Point number 1, never forget those first 3 seconds. They matter. Project confidence, competence, and be approachable from the get-go.
Okay, number 2, embrace that executive enhancement concept. It's an ongoing process, really. Identify those blind spots, the things that might be holding you back without you even realizing it.
Number 3, get really clear on your personal values. Understand how they shape your perceptions and your interactions with others. Make sure your actions reflect those values. Authenticity is key.
All right, number 4, master those personality types. Recognize that everyone communicates differently. Adapt your style to connect with each individual.
Number 5, the social strata. It exists. It's real. Understand the rules of the game, but never compromise your integrity just to climb that ladder.
Point number 6, packaging matters. It really does. Pay attention to your appearance, your grooming, even how your office is decorated. Project that image of professionalism. Those visual cues make a difference.
Okay, number 7, don't be naive about office politics. It's a real thing. Stay informed, protect yourself, and know how to play the game, even if you don't like it.
Number 8, be your own best advocate. Learn to negotiate, know your worth, and don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve.
Number 9, give back. Get involved in your community. Support causes you believe in. It not only benefits others, but it enhances your own social standing and expands your network.
And finally, number 10, Lavington's core message. Strive for balance between being genuine and strategic. Play the game, use your skills, but stay true to who you are. Success without integrity is meaningless.
That's a fantastic summary. I hope everyone listening feels empowered to take these insights and put them into practice.
Me too. You have the power to shape those impressions and make the impact you want to make. Embrace that self-discovery, refine your approach, and walk into every room with confidence and purpose.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into You've Only Got 3 Seconds. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for that authentic excellence.